Okay, so the UK, well, some of the UK are a little upset today, and they've been upset for the last couple of days because the hearing, right, the verdict has come in a big court case, although a big court case that's been kept hidden from the public for whatever reason, surprise, where a former BBC presenter by the name of Hugh Edwards has been sentenced after being charged with having, and by the way, pleaded guilty and admitted everything, having over 40 images of kiddie sex fucking, I don't know. I don't know exactly what was on the pictures, but he admitted that it was indecent photos of children in a sexual nature. And I just want to read to you the article that was published by the BBC about him. Okay, so remember, so he used to work for the BBC, or he did until this all came out. And now the BBC, his ex-employers have made a article about him, and I just want to read it out for you, right? Just to see what they actually have to say. Will they distance themselves from him? Will they make him look bad? Will they make him look good? I've read this article a little bit, but I'm going to pretend like I'm shocked, and we'll read it together, okay? So this is what they've put, right? 4 key takeaways from Hugh Edwards' sentencing. 16th of September 2024. Today is the 17th of September 2024, so this was yesterday. Former BBC News presenter Hugh Edwards has been given a suspended prison term after he admitted making indecent images of children. Westminster Magistrates Court heard he received more than 40 images over several months from convicted sex offender Alex Williams. Here are 4 things we learned about the sentence and hearing. Okay, so they've mentioned, okay, so he admitted making indecent images of children. And he's also received more than 40. Okay, so here's the first thing. Apparently the first thing we need to know. The online exchanges lasted about 4 years. When Hugh Edwards pleaded guilty in July, we knew that he had communications with Alex Williams, the man who supplied the indecent images, from December 2020. That's when Williams, convicted earlier this year, sent the first images. The images had depictions of abuse, sorry. The online relationship between Alex and Hugh began 2 years before that, and it was of a sexual nature. Edwards was struggling with both his mental health and sexual identity. Come on now. I guess they had to include that. That explains it all. Okay, so Edwards and Williams started sending each other pornographic images and a small number of illegal abuse images. Just a small number. Not a lot, just a little bit, of course. Payments. Okay, so this is crazy, by the way. This is crazy. A payment, but not for images. So the bulk of so now apparently 377 images were legal pornography featuring young adult men. Okay, so they're watching gay porn, right? So we've got 2 faggots, right? But 41 of them depicted children. Edwards would have been aware of the fact of what he was being sent because he discussed it with Williams. So Hugh Edwards discussed with Alex Williams the type of images he wanted to receive and asked specifically for pornography of young children, young boys, right? It's always gay guys in the BBC. Has anyone noticed? Like, it's always fucking faggot shit. Sorry for my homophobic language, right? But it's always fucking faggot shit. It's never like, I mean, I'm not saying it would be better if it was straight. I'm just saying it's always like gay, elitist, fucking pedos, right? Mr. Edwards immediately queried who the subject was and was then sent 3 images of seemingly the same person. The person was aged between 14 and 16, and the images were category C in the table of severity of abuse. The lowest of the 3 tiers. Okay, so they're saying that this was of all the fucking sexual abuse images involving children, this was the lowest of that. So you got Tier A, Tier B, Tier C. He was only in Tier C, according to the BBC. Williams then asked Edwards, remember Hugh Edwards, the ex-BBC presenter, Alex Williams, just some homosexual paedophile. So Alex asked Hugh whether he wanted the full file. Edwards responded, quote, yes, kiss, kiss, kiss. Williams then sent a further and more severe images of abuse and a final video file of a category A incident, so this is the highest level of abuse, involving abuse of a young boy aged between 13 and 15. Edwards and Williams then wished each other a happy Christmas. So that was his Christmas present was a fucking top tier gay rape video. That's what they do in the BBC, guys. When Williams said he had the hot files that were big to send, Edwards recommended Dropbox. In time, the former newsreader referred to some of the material as amazing, quote amazing, but it's not clear whether he meant the legal or illegal images. Okay. Little bit of defendant. Well, we don't. This is the BBC. This is how they word it, right? We don't know whether it was the legal or the kiddie porn that he said was amazing. I mean, he received both and asked for both, but we can't say for sure that he was saying it was the kiddie porn that was amazing. Fucking disgusting. We heard in court that Edwards had paid Williams, but this was not taken by the sentencing chief magistrate to mean that he had been paid for the indecent images. It was more of a case of thank you for whatever was going on between them. In effect, gifts. Okay, so they're saying that maybe, even though he paid him after receiving child porn, maybe the payment wasn't for directly the porn, maybe it was just a thank you for all of the sexual images, aka the porn. But it wasn't definitely for the kiddie porn. That's their take on this. Disgusting. For instance, William asked for a Christmas gift after all the hot videos. That's disgusting. Or do they mean hot videos is disgusting? But I guess maybe they mean hot, as in dodgy, dangerous. I don't know, but it's still disgusting. Edwards sent him £200 for some Nike Air Force One trainers. In total, Williams received between £1,000 and £1,500, which helped to pay his way at university. This is crazy. The third thing we need to know, mental health battles. Edwards had mental health, apparently. The evidence in the case shows that Edwards had been struggling with mental ill health for many years and had fragile self-esteem. Oh, well, that explains it all. Simple. Clearly, we were wrong, sorry. You have bad mental health. It doesn't specify anything. It just says mental health, right? Pretty broad statement. And he has fragile self-esteem. Well, that explains the kiddie porn. Clearly. The court heard he had what appeared to be unresolved feelings about his sexuality dating back to 1994. Okay, so he fucking watched Pulp Fiction, 1994, went to the cinema, watched Pulp Fiction, watched fucking Matey Getting Bummed, and thought, yep, boom, clear. Now, confusion about sexuality is not the same as interest in images of child abuse, far from it. So what led to him receiving the images from Williams, even if he later regretted it? Apparently he regrets it, now that he's in court. This is crazy. A forensic psychotherapist wrote in a report for the court that the people Edwards was meeting with via social media helped boost his low mood, but then created a perfect storm leading to the offending. The decision-making was linked to Edwards' mental ill health and the wider picture of his complex character. One expert who analysed Edwards said he grew up in a... What? This is crazy. He grew up in a hypocritical environment, with a father described in court as monstrous. Edwards entered adulthood feeling inferior. Well, that explains it all. Clearly. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thanks, BBC. Cheers. He had a bad upbringing, so now he's a fucking homophobic, paedophile rapist, mixing amongst the BBC elites. Of course. You know, there's a lot of people, believe it or not, BBC, there's a lot of people out there who have low self-esteem, who had a bad father, who feel inferior every time they leave the house, who don't get fucking rape images of kids. Believe it or not. Now, you elitists at the BBC probably don't understand that, but it's true. There are people out there who have bad fathers, low self-esteem, and who feel inferior sometimes, or all the time, who don't bum kids, or pay for images of kids being bummed, and who aren't fucking faggots. Oh, wait, no. In time, he developed clinical depression, leading to therapy at times. But this situation worsened from 2018, and then more so during the first awful years of the pandemic. Well, it's awful COVID. The awful years of the pandemic, that's crazy. Which coincides with the majority of the offending. The conclusion of the experts was that Edwards was sufficiently unwell, that it affected his decision-making, a situation exacerbated by alcohol, a heart problem, and a breakdown of relationships within his own family. All of this could sound like some sob story, but the court accepted that there was evidence that Edwards' mental health had improved, and therefore his understanding of the crimes, thanks to help, and that sign of self-improvement was a key factor in what the chief magistrate decided to do. Okay, so essentially, it's not a sob story. They just had to write a huge article telling the sob story just to get a tiny little... No, it's not a sob story. I know it's not a sob story, but he was raised with a bad father, low self-esteem. He didn't know whether he was gay or straight from 1994. So he had bad mental health, and he had a therapist, and it didn't work. Therefore, he needed to go on his computer and get sent fucking images of kiddie porn. And we employed this guy. Sentencing can be very finely balanced. The burning question for many tonight was why was Hugh Edwards not sent to prison? There is no simple and uniform solution with dealing with offenders. That's the simple answer. The offence he committed could, in theory, lead to 10 years in prison. But in practice, detailed sentencing guidelines developed over the years in comparing various cases save the severe punishment for the worst of the worst people who were producing images that Alex Williams scooped up and then went on to share to Hugh Edwards. Edwards, by receiving them, was at the bottom of that chain of abuse. So his sentencing was always going to be well short of the maximum 10 years, and likely to be shorter than the 12-month suspended sentence given to Alex Williams in March. So Alex didn't even go to prison. Neither of the two sharing kiddie porn went to prison. The guidelines say that for someone in Edward's position, the starting point is a year in jail with a range of between 6 months and 3 years. Chief Magistrate Paul Godspring began his sentencing calculation within a year. He knocked 3 months off to take into account the mental health evidence. Okay, so bad mental health gets you off of prison time if you caught with fucking kiddie porn. That's crazy. That is crazy. This is, and they say, according to the BBC, this is absolutely standard procedure. He then discounted the sentence by a third, bringing it down to 6 months to credit the earliest possible guilty plea. Again, the discount for an admission is the standard feature of sentencing law. It is an offer to focus on the offender's mind on pleading guilty early and accepting their crimes. It saves a huge amount of public money by not typing up the criminal justice system with a jury trial. And it means if the offender is willing, they can get on with the long and hard process of rehabilitation as soon as possible. Well, there you go. There you go. Now, remember, and by the way, I just want to talk about something. Let's just say you are a guy who's caught with a load of coke. If you plead guilty, you don't not go to prison. They ain't knocking off that much time if you get caught with coke, but if you get caught with kiddie porn, you get caught with images of young boys being sexually abused, well then boom. Play the victim, bad mental health, and I admit it, don't go to prison. Because it saves money. It saves public money. Sending billions of pounds to Ukraine, cool. Spending money on a court trial to throw the book at a gay paedophile, no, don't want to spend that money. So the next question was whether Edwards needed to be jailed to protect the public. The Chief Magistrate concluded not, because he accepted evidence that the offender before him had already understood the gravity of what he had done, and he was responding to therapy. Okay, so if you're caught with pedo images, if you're caught with images of kids being fucking abused and raped, if you've gone to therapy and the therapist conclude that you are responding well then boom. You don't need to go to prison. You're on the mend. You're doing well. Clearly. Fucking ridiculous. So he moved down a notch from immediate jail to a suspended 6-month sentence. That means that if Edwards were to commit another offence in the next 2 years, he would likely go to jail immediately. But if he stays on the road to reform, he won't. The prosecution had urged that Edwards needed to be subject to restrictions on his liberties through a sexual harm prevention order. That would have allowed agencies to monitor his communications and movements, including knowing his entire internet history on every device he uses. What does that... What? Okay, so basically they're saying, Hugh, they got the fucking... Hugh, we've decided that you've gone to court, you've admitted to being a fucking pedo, you've admitted to having and paying for images of kiddie porn and kiddie abuse, even though kiddie porn is child abuse, but also child abuse within the kiddie porn. But you've gone to therapy and you've admitted it, so yeah, as long as you don't commit another crime and you show us your internet history, we're warning you that we're going to check on your internet history, by the way. So here's a heads up, don't go on anything dodgy. You're free to walk the streets. His lawyers argued that risk was diminishing because he was on the mend and had shown genuine remorse. Therefore, basically they're saying, right, that if you restrict and check up on his internet history, it could be harmful because he's already on the mend. He's showing remorse. Therefore, we shouldn't be rocking the stable recover that he's making. Edwards must complete a 40-day sex offender treatment program. This is crazy. For the next 7 years, Edwards would be on the sex offender. So only for 7 years he'll be on the sex offender list. What? So their concluding sentence, right, is that he is free from prison, but he is not free in the true sense of the word. His life choices will be watched on for years to come. So that's supposed to be good enough, right? Now look, a lot of people have been talking on the internet. They've seen the sentencing, they've seen that he hasn't gone to prison, and they've been saying that it's not enough, right? Now look, I agree with you, it's not enough, right? He should be fucking killed. In my opinion, he should be fucking killed. He should be murdered. It wouldn't even be murder in my opinion, because it should just be execution. He deserves it. He's a fucking paedophile. He's admitted it. I think he should be killed. But there's a lot of people out there who were shocked and surprised, right, that this is the only this is his punishment. Basically, he's on the sex offenders list for 7 years. He potentially will have people checking on his internet history, and he has to attend a 40-day sex offenders course. And if he commits another crime, he will probably go to prison. And they've warned him about that. So he has a heads up about that, right? I'm not surprised one bit that this is his sentence. This is his punishment. And if you are surprised, well then you are fucking naive and stupid. Okay? And I don't mean to be mean, but you are stupid and naive to the fact that there are two types of people in this world, at least in the Western world, and more specifically, this country. Okay, in the UK, there are two types of people. There are people who are in the club and people who are out the club. There are Hugh Edwards, Philip Schofield, all these fucking elitists who are caught, right? A lot of them, for some reason, fucking gay pedophiles and gay rapists. And then you have people like us, me and probably you watching, where if we fucking do anything, I'm not talking about fucking rapey shit, I'm talking about fucking, I don't know, protesting in public against Keir Starmer's government, not causing any physical harm to anybody or any real criminal damage, and you go to prison, right? That's just the way it is. There's it's not even two-tier policing. It's a two-tier world. It's two-tier society. Okay, so I'm not surprised about it. Now, I'm annoyed. Like I said, this guy should be fucking killed. But it's about time that people acknowledge, not accept, but acknowledge the fact that it is completely different. The law, the society in which we live in is completely different if you're part of the group. BBC is the biggest one of them. Okay? Now, I was thinking, right, about how even if Hugh did go to prison, right, let's just say that he had a clean trial, right? Because let's remember, a clean trial, a fair trial in this instant, if I was Hugh in his position, no connections to the BBC, no connections to the elitists, no potential dirt. Like Hugh probably has dirt on the elites. He probably has dirt on people within the BBC, high net worth and highly powerful people. I don't have any of those things. So if I'm in his position, I go to prison. Facts. Probably. I mean, I'd probably go to prison for less than a fucking rapist. No, less than a fucking drug dealer. But if I would still go to prison. Right? Now, let's imagine he did go to prison. Keep in mind, one, he wouldn't be associating or anywhere near the actual criminals in there. Well, no, he is an actual criminal, but the criminals that are in the prison already, the existing criminals, for example, armed robbers, people who were, violent, just normal robberies, drug dealers, all of that stuff, right? He wouldn't be with them anyway. So even if he was sentenced, he wouldn't really be punished the way that he should be punished, which is that he would be put into a population where he'd be put on a wing with criminals who don't like paedophiles, where he would be beaten up, right? They're separated. People who commit sexual crimes are separated anyway, which makes me think, why are they separated anyway? And what a sort of segue into something else. Remember the people who I know if you'd seen my last video, right, or if you've just been paying attention to the news, think about all the people, right, who have just been sentenced to actual prison, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 1 year, whatever, actual time away from their families in prison cells for protesting against the government, for protesting against the immigration, right? Those people actually go to prison and actually get put in with criminals, even though they themselves haven't committed any real crime. They've had the book thrown at them, or in some cases, in most cases, the book torn up and basically become political prisoners, right? Yet this guy doesn't go to prison. And then you can look in closer. Okay, even if Hugh Edwards did go to prison, he would be separated for his own safety. That's what they call it. His own safety. They would have separated him and all the other fucking pedos, right, from the people within the prison that would definitely beat the absolute shit out of a paedophile and probably fucking cut them and kill them. Rightly so. But if you've been arrested for protesting against immigration, you get put inside of a prison and you get put on the same wing as Muslim gangs. Okay, so if you're thinking with your brain and you're asking some questions, you'd be thinking, okay, well, why is it the 18-year-old who was protesting with his dad, who is for whatever reason been photographed, arrested and convicted and now has been tarnished a far-right thug, who Islamophobic far-right thug, even though he probably isn't, right? Why is it that he has been put in a wing where his fucking cellmates and all the people on the wing are fucking Muslim gang members who, and the courts know this, they know that sending that kid in there, he's going to have a lot of issues with a lot of Muslims, right? Yet the guy who's, let's say Hugh Edwards was convicted of being a paedophile, why is it that he wouldn't be put in with the people that would want to have an issue with it? Then if you look closer, if you think a little bit more and start asking the questions, let's say you're in prison, right? Or you're watching this. You're watching this in prison, or you're watching this, you've been to prison or might be going to prison. You're a Muslim guy, right? Ask yourself this. Why is it that the government, the people that have locked you up and put you in a cell, right? Why is it that they've put you in with the guys that are labelled far-right thugs, and they've basically said, okay, this guy's your enemy. He hates you. You guys fucking fight. Go on, get to it. Why is it they give you that? They let you locked up with that guy, the guy who protests about immigration, but the guy who rapes little kids and asks for indecent photos of children and young boys being abused sexually, why is it they don't lock you up with him? I mean, who would you rather get your hands on, right? I'd hope it would be the fucking paedophile. Then you've got to be asking yourself, and this is really a question for everyone in the prison, because I know right now there's a lot of conflict going on inside the prisons regarding the new inmates that have been sent in for protesting, the far-right thugs, and then the Muslims, right? The two groups really should be asking themselves, okay, so the people that have we're in cages right now, right? We're basically in cages. Okay, yes, there ain't the bars, the doors, right? But we're locked up. We're basically in fucking cages, like animals. That we've both been put in this same cage by the same people, and we're supposed to believe them that we're each other's enemies, right? The white boys, Muslims, or just the patriots and the Muslims, whatever. The far-right thugs, we're supposed to be enemies, yet they've put us together and said, have at it. Yet the people that we all agree should be getting the fucking shit kicked out of them and stabbed, the fucking paedophiles, why don't they give us the paedophiles and say, have at it? Maybe you should be wondering why you guys have been put together in the first place. The same people that both of you don't like. Your common enemy, right, has put you together and said, fight. Everyone inside the prison right now, arguing over religion, is being used as a pawn by the government, being used as an expendable fucking slave, essentially, to argue and fight for two reasons. One, to confuse, right? No, not to confuse, sorry. To distract each other from the fact that the paedophiles aren't getting convicted and aren't getting put in with you guys, right? But also because the Muslim boys inside them prisons are being used as muscle to get rid of the danger. And the danger to the government right now is the patriots, although they call them far-right thugs, who are out there protesting against their immigration policies. So to shut them up, right, they use the Muslims that they already have locked in cages, throw the fucking patriots in there too, and say, okay, you guys are enemies, fight, take care of it. We won't look. Go on, I'm not looking. Go on, kill him. Quickly. That's what's happening. Yeah, everyone's too stupid to see that. Or maybe they have seen it, but they're too far indoctrinated. You know? They've all been indoctrinated. I think about if I go to prison, and I'm thinking about it, if I go to prison, let's say I'm at a protest, which I probably will be, they lock me up, throw me in with the Muslims, would I be arguing with them? Would I see them as my enemy? Probably. In the moment, yeah. It's easy for me to look now and say, no, I wouldn't do that. It's easy for me from the outside to actually see what's going on. But when you're in there, it's too late. You can't think clearly when you know that the guy's in there. Let's say you're me and some Muslim guy in there wants to fucking cut you up because apparently you're a far-right thug who hates Islam. Well, then I'd be on my guard too. So now there's a war inside the prison. Well, the pedos and the elites and the people who sent you in there are fine. There's no arguing there. It's interesting. Now, look, there's going to be a lot of, people talking about all the elitists and how they're all, gay and rapey and everything. But what you should be thinking about is not just the people not just the industry, the government, all of that stuff. I'll be looking at the judges and the prosecutors. Because that seems to me where the real corruption is, right? The real corruption is within the people who make the decisions, right? Because remember, Yes, the BBC are powerful, right? But if you had a judge, right, you had a judge, a prosecutor who actually had morals and couldn't be bought and paid for, couldn't be pressured, did his job correctly, well then these guys would all be going to prison. And if you had a prison system that was fair, well then the people who were locked up for rape and the people who were locked up for paedophilia and kiddie porn, they wouldn't be separated either. The whole thing is bullshit. The whole thing is a scam. It's all, forget about two-tier policing. It's all two-tier society. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe I'm not. Think about it yourself. Okay? Think about it yourself. I appreciate you watching. Thank you.